Hello traders, this is Blake Morrow and you are listening to the week ahead video for October 4th, 2020. Now, I've got actually a lot to talk about this week. There's a lot happening, but before I get into it, I have to mention that if you haven't taken advantage of the new seasonal offer, make sure you do so. I'm going to talk a little bit about that and how you might be able to win 3 months for free here in, maybe in a little bit, but I do want to make sure I mention that because it is going away today. Actually, when you come back to ForexAnalytix tomorrow morning, this page will be gone and you will not be allowed to take advantage of these prices. Okay. But again, I'm going to talk about a little bit more further detail a little bit later. But for those of you that came to the Traders Summit last week, I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was an amazing, it was an absolute amazing event. So if you missed it and you didn't get the opportunity to go, make sure you go to the website, tradersummit.net. You can see it right here, tradersummit.net. Okay. You don't have to put all this extra stuff after it. Tradersummit.net. Right. When you do that, scroll down and you can have all the recordings. Okay, so anything that you might have missed, you can come here and watch it. Okay, and you guys have to excuse me because it is allergy season. So if I sneeze or anything for you guys, it's totally unintentional. It's just that time of the year when everything starts to bloom here in the desert. And so, and if I sound a little stuffy, that's the reason why. All right. Okay. So anyway, tradersummit.net. Go there to get all the recordings. Let's talk about this next week. And first of all, let's talk about what happened since Friday. And if you missed the F.A.C.E webinar, we found out that President Trump contracted COVID, along with a lot of other Republican politicians and key personnel as well. It seems to me that he's going to recover, and he's recovering quickly, based on the information that we've seen. And let's hope that's the case. Let's hope it is. But for obvious reasons, if his situation does deteriorate, that becomes a big issue going into this next week. As I told you guys on Friday, I thought the chances of that are very slim. Even though he is of that age, he's going to have the best care available to him, to anybody actually, and I'm sure he's going to be fine. I'm sure he's going to be fine, right? And it seems to be the case. But what's happening, and I think one of the things that we have to pay attention to now, talking about the markets, because we did mention this on the F.A.C.E webinar, which is our free webinar, guys. If you don't know how to listen in every single day to our free webinars that we do, look down in the description and you'll find the link on how to register. But what we talked about on Friday is, let's not talk about the politics so much, but we have to talk about the situation because it is going to affect the market and what we're dealing with in particular. And one of those things would be, what happens if, what if things start to deteriorate with President Trump's health? Is that going to affect the equity markets? And, obviously it will. The other thing is, as he gets better, what do the polls look like? And right now, this is Sunday morning, so things obviously are changing as we are 30 days away from the election. The polls continue to widen in favor of Biden. All right. So, I tried not to read too much into the polls, but this year is going to probably be a little bit different. A lot of people will come back and say, oh, well, the polls back in 2016 showed Hillary Clinton, ahead, and look what happened. I agree with that. I don't think the America will treat this the same. A lot of the issues last cycle were this, and I know it just as well as anybody else. You know, you're like, well, I don't want to vote for Trump, but I don't like Hillary Clinton. I'm just not going to vote. And then, you know, they may have been really opposed one or the other, and they just didn't vote. I think everybody's going to vote this election cycle. Who they vote for, it's, you know, you guys can make those assumptions, but I'm going to say that I think everybody's voting, whether it's in person or mail-in ballots, which is obviously another issue that we're all as as you know, we're all going to be watching very carefully, because it's going to be an absolute mess come the election. And so that's why you know, things are so affected here in equities. One of the things that we really, if you hear my dogs, you have to excuse me, because it's early in the morning and I can't obviously stop what I'm doing here to go deal with them. So if you hear them, there's a lot of people out walking their dogs, and my dogs get all excited. Anyway, going back to what I want to talk about as far as the election and how it's going to affect markets. Markets are going to be on edge. And the wider the polls are between the two candidates, the more at ease the equity markets are going to be. Because, you know, if Biden handedly wins the election, and like, let's say, you know, you see some of the key states and you know, he won by, you know, 10% or more, you know, you can't really contest that. You know, I don't think. And I think most people would probably feel that way, market participants wise. But when you get really close contests in these states that matter, that's when, you know, the markets are going to get a little bit more nervous. So as long as the polls stay relatively wide, I think the equity markets will stay relatively stable. That's the point I'm trying to make. But what we have to, you know, technically, when you're looking at equities, and by the way, obviously I'm looking at equities. I predominantly trade currencies, but equities matter. And, you know, when you're talking about the S&P, it obviously matters. So for us, I'm really just watching 3,400 to 34 and a quarter. You know, as long as we stay below 34 and a quarter, then we're making lower highs, at least respecting these highs. Like I think there's a chance that we break above these highs and then stall here. When I say break above these highs, whoops, I didn't want the magnet to be on here. We break above these highs and then, you know, quite possibly hit that resistance. That's something to pay attention to. One of the other things that we're obviously paying very close attention to is the stimulus plan. You know, the stimulus plan looked really like it wasn't going to happen. Like it was, you know, Democrats were going to play hardball, and Republicans. We all know that Republicans are really trying to push it through because it will help, like, a lot of the individual senators and legislators, you know, and maybe even the presidential election and those polls a little bit better. So you would think that the Republicans would want to budge a little bit more than the Democrats, but then, you know, Trump's COVID diagnosis that really reignited the stimulus talks again. So we're going to have to wait, you know, here at least, you know, it might even be today, later on today, tomorrow, that we find out something. Obviously, if stimulus is passed, what could happen, and I'm just focused right on the S&P here, and then we're going to have to go into some currencies, but we could even trade past this resistance, and then you'd have to look at the 618 up here, which will be around 34.50. You know, 34.45 is the number that I see right now. That's a 618 retracement. So these levels could get tested on, you know, stimulus, and then you have to ask yourself, well, was it what the market wants? I mean, I think anything below 1.8 trillion or so, the market's probably going to go, that wasn't that much, or not as much as we need. You know, I think the closer to 2 trillion, the more the market will positively respond to that, you know, that more fiscal stimulus. Now, that's what I'm looking at as far as equities. And I guess I should mention that, obviously, if you listen to us every day, or listen to me every day on the F.A.C.E webinar, you know I'm focused on 3,300 and then 3,200. So those are the supports and 3,400, 34 and a quarter, 34.50. Okay, so you guys know where I'm at here. Now, I just realized that I've talked a lot about the S&P, and I haven't even talked about currencies, which we're going to go into in 1 second. But before I do so, let me talk about this, the pricing that we have here. All right, for ForexAnalytix. Remember, if you haven't tried out ForexAnalytix, you don't get this price, but maybe 3 times a year that we offer this discounted pricing. And so you're not going to see this pricing again for several months, okay, till probably after the beginning of the new year. So remember, these prices will be gone tomorrow morning. So when you go to ForexAnalytix.com, you're not going to see these slash prices. You're just not, okay? So take advantage of it. Now, one of the other things you can do, and you do this in conjunction, is go to ForexAnalytix Twitter page, and you'll see new seasonal offer tweets. There's a bunch of seasonal offer tweets. Just find one of them, because we're going to look at them all. Find one of them right like this, okay? Retweet it, and then respond to the tweet and say, I want to be involved in the giveaway. The giveaway, we're giving 3 winners 3 free months, plus t-shirt, mouse pad, coffee mug. But you don't have to purchase to win. But even if you're a ForexAnalytix subscriber, like let's say you took advantage of the pricing and you got, let's say you got 12 months for the price of 7. So you bought 7 months and you got 12 months and you win, we're going to add 3 months to the end of that. So if you're already a subscriber, if you're not, you're going to get 3 months for free and you get to join our community. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Again, ForexAnalytix, this is the time to be involved. Okay, now let's talk currencies. Okay, let's talk about how key some of these levels are. So if you're looking at the euro, you'll notice where the euro's failing. Look at this fib from the highs. 38% retracement comes in at 117.62. You have this trend line here that comes in right around 117.80. So as long as we stay below this level, I have to remain, bearish, as we have this rounded top or head and shoulder pattern, however you're looking at it. And, as long as we fail at a 38% retracement, then the chances of a continuation lower is high. If we get back above 118, that changes the picture to more of a bullish picture, okay? So that I just needed to point that out. Look at some of the, before I say look at some of these commodity currencies, let me just say I'm really not focused on the cable. It's a disaster. The Brexit headlines are moving the pair so aggressively one direction or the other. I'm just kind of leaving it alone. Now, we do have, the BOE, Bailey, he's speaking on Thursday. Will that move the needle? I don't know. But I'm just kind of leaving the cable alone. But look at the Aussie and look at the Kiwi. All right, Aussie. Previous channel, right? Underside of the channel. So as long as we stay below here, right around the 72 and a quarter level, and it's a 50% retracement right here at 72.08, and you can see some of this previous support here. I don't see any reason why I should be long the Aussie. I'd actually be more looking to short while we're below here. But again, this is in a current market that we're dealing with. If you put a stimulus package out there that the market likes, the Aussie will rally and it'll break out. Okay. Same with the Kiwi. If you look at the Kiwi, we're in a bear flag pattern. We got this double top. We've come up to the 50% retracement. It looks like it wants to break down. But again, it's all dependent on what happens with, fiscal stimulus. I hate to say it, but it's true. I mean, there's other things that are happening this week, not just is the stimulus package going through, not just, what are the presidential polls telling us. We actually have a vice president debate on Wednesday, and that's a big deal. It's a big deal because I know a lot of people feel that, well, Joe Biden's a placeholder. How long is he going to be around? He doesn't look very healthy. Or even, you take, President Trump, you're like, well, he's no spring chicken. So, maybe we should focus a little bit more on what Mike Pence has to say. So the Mike Pence, Kamala Harris debate on Wednesday night, it's going to be a big deal. That could move the markets. That's something that's I think is going to be pretty important on Wednesday night. I'll be watching it. I think most of the United States will be watching it. That one I feel is going to be a more watchable debate. How about that? We could watch that. We could say that. Also, the Fed, we have FOMC minutes later this week too, which could move the needle. And actually, I think Jay Powell is speaking. He has a speech on Tuesday that we have to focus on. Okay. Now, I'm going to bring you to two last currencies here. First of all, let's talk about the dollar Canadian. The dollar Canadian's pivoting off of what I feel is key support here at this 132.50. It really has been holding. That's trend line, neckline, inverted head and shoulder pattern. It still points to 135. The 200-day, 200-day moving average, right? Okay. So the dollar Canadian is still, that's still valid. That's something that we need to watch, because if it breaks below 132, the figure, that would be very bearish. Right? This is on a really positive fiscal deal. Then that breaks down. Okay. Other than that, it still looks very constructive. That's one currency I wanted to bring up. I wanted to talk about the dollar index as a whole, because the dollar index, we have this inverted head and shoulder pattern, rounded bottom, however you want to look at it. It's been very technical. We held the spike lows from back in March. That comes in around 94. We've been looking at 94.70, but the 94.50, 94.70, that right there is extremely important. However, we respected the neckline. We respected the 618. So that support comes in at 93.50. So while we're above 93.50, I don't think there's any reason to be bearish the dollar index. Okay. But guys, things are heating up in the currency market. Volatility is picking up. We have other things like the RBA rate decision, which would be Tuesday morning in Australia. So that means it's Monday night for a lot of us. ECB President Lagarde, she's speaking on Tuesday. We have the FOMC meeting minutes. Actually, Lagarde's speaking on Wednesday as well. You can see all the events. If you go to calendar here, you can see them all. Scroll through. Okay. We have Canadian employment on Friday. So you have all of this. Then you have how's Trump dealing with COVID? Is it getting better, or is it, or has it turned for the worse? How are the presidential polling? How's that going? On top of the stimulus talks. Guys, if you want to know how to stay on top of all this, just be a ForexAnalytix subscriber. See right here where it says, go to chat room. See up here? It's over here. Go to the chat room. That's where I'm at all day. Okay. Our chat room looks like this, and you can find us in the chat room and find me in the chat room, and then listen to the F.A.C.E webinars and be a part of our community. This way you can stay up to date on everything that's happening. All right, guys and gals, my name is Blake Morrow. If you enjoyed this video and you feel that it has been beneficial to you, please give us a thumbs up while you're on YouTube, and share it on social media. Retweet this video, please. Makes us all feel better that we're producing these for you. And remember, it's free every week. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great trading week. I'll see you on the F.A.C.E webinar on Monday morning. Bye-bye.